for his eloquent remarks. Pardons are...
We're putting them last. And that is exactly what Americans want. You see, for far too long, Americans have been put last. And they're sick of it. They're sick and tired of it. And this is why they don't trust Congress. This is why they don't trust the government. And here's the problem. All of these women who have suffered in shame for years and years and years, women who were terrified, women who were intimidated, women who were threatened, just like Virginia Giuffre. And now she's dead. And these women should have never faced that, for this information to come out. And we, especially the 4 Republican members of the House of Representatives, we should have never faced intimidation and threats for us to get this vote to come to the floor. Never forget, there were 4. Thomas Massie, myself, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. We had to sign a discharge petition, and we had to fight through intimidation, and we had to endure it for months to push that discharge petition finally to 218 to get this vote to come out. This is what the American people are sick of, and rightfully so. Now, where does this go from here? The question will remain, will the Department of Justice release all the information? Will a judge in New York release the information? Will the CIA release the information? And will foreign governments release their information? Or will this continue after this vote today be a cover-up? A cover-up of the rich, powerful elites that bond together in sex and human trafficking abuse and all types of global business that enriches them but never serves Americans. The American people will know, and the victims, actually the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, will know, because they know the list of names. And I remain dedicated to my promise to read those names here on the House floor if those women ever find them in a place that it needs to be done. I yield back to Mr.
Gentlelady
Massey.
from Georgia yields back. Gentleman from Kentucky reserves. Gentlelady from North Carolina is recognized.
I reserve, Mr. Speaker.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
I yield myself a minute and 30 seconds.
The gentleman is recognized for a minute.
I want to thank the generosity of Jim McGovern, Representative McGovern, for granting us this time. I'm embarrassed for my own party today. I'm embarrassed we withheld signing in, swearing in a duly representative of the people for 49 days just to avoid this vote that's finally going to happen today. I'm embarrassed that my own party isn't going to yield me time to debate this, even though they say they support it, and I authored it. They don't even want to yield me time to debate this during the bill debate. But I'm thankful. Let me tell you who I'm thankful to. These 3 brave women, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. They have been threatened. They have been intimidated. Physically, politically, it's disgusting. And not by the far left. They have been intimidated by people in our own party. And for what? For seeking justice for these victims. So my hat's off. I congratulate them for standing strong. I've always wondered, where were the Republican men during this battle? We've taken 5 months. These 3 women and I have had to drag our party to this floor today to even vote on this. And Ro Khanna is the most to be thanked here in an extraordinary display of bipartisanship. He did not hesitate when I asked if we wanted to bring this bill to the floor together, if he would stand in the trenches with me. He said yes. With that, I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Boy, we need to get facts straight here. President Trump's DOJ, in his first term, arrested and prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein. We, on our side, want justice to prevail, in this case and in every case. Speaker Johnson has always been clear that if the discharge petition reached the necessary signatures, that the House would consider the legislation, and that's what we're providing for in our rule today. In fact, as soon as the petition hit 218 votes last Wednesday, House Republicans offered a unanimous consent request to pass the legislation then. However, the Democrat leader would not give consent to do that last week. Why? Because they're not really interested in this. They're interested in some other things. And, Mr. Speaker, I have to correct the record. Mr. Massey did not request time from me. I'm the person who controls the time on the Republican side, and he did not request time from me, or I would have given him time. I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
I'd like to now recognize the gentlelady from South Carolina for 5 minutes, Nancy Mace.
Gentlelady from South Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank my colleagues today for the time, Mr. McGovern and Mr. Khanna, for the 5 minutes on the floor to speak about an issue that is not political for me. Helping the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and his horrific, gruesome, brutal sex trafficking ring is deeply personal. And while we often have many disagreements about a lot of issues, maybe most issues, today they are allowing us to speak on the floor, and I want to thank my colleagues, Congressman Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert, the four of us making history today over the discharge petition and delivering justice for those who have desperately fought for it for, in some cases, almost 30 years. I wore white today because I wanted to reflect on the innocence of the young women who had their innocence stolen from a demon named Jeffrey Epstein, from demons, friends of his, rich and powerful people who stole their innocence as young as 14 years old. It was taken from them, and they've never gotten it back. I'm also wearing white today to recognize the courage that it takes for women to come forward, the sacrifices to them personally, professionally, financially, the embarrassment, the humiliation, the shame that we still deliver on the backs of women who have been brutalized, who've been raped, who've been assaulted. The shame that the media pours over their heads, that their colleagues, their friends, their neighbors, their loved ones, because you come forward and because you talk about sexual assault, you are not a slut. It's not because of what you wore. You're not a whore. But that's how women are treated, and you're not lying. And I want every woman to know, every Epstein survivor to know, every woman across the country who is a survivor, who is a victim of assault, that today we see you. And this fight and this vote tonight, I see it is about the Epstein victims, but it's about much more than the Epstein victims. This is about the powerless, taking power away from the very powerful. This is about giving women who never had a voice, giving a voice to the voiceless. This is about their sacrifice. This is about having and recognizing their courage. This is about justice for the Epstein victims, but it's also about hope. Earlier this year, I gave a speech right here on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, detailing trauma that I experienced, endured, and am a survivor of, that I accidentally uncovered 2 years ago, almost to the day. And today, I still don't have justice, like millions of women across the country. When I spoke out, I got attacked. When I spoke out, I was shamed. When I spoke out, I was defamed and smeared, and that goes on today, right now, in the present. God sure has a funny way of working through us. I, like many of the Epstein survivors and many other survivors across the country, I don't think I will ever heal from the destruction my abuser did to me. But I can heal by being a vessel and being a voice for all those who need it, and that's why we are here today. That is why I will never abandon a single survivor ever, and I will never waver. I spent my morning talking to law enforcement and others about another potential Jane Doe number 5, who may be another sexual assault victim in the case that I uncovered 2 years ago. It's very difficult for us to come forward, but I want to thank the women who have, the Epstein victims, the victims in the case that I uncovered. I want to thank all of you for being a voice, for giving me hope. Maybe one day I too can get justice. Thank you, and I yield.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from Kentucky
Reserved.
reserves. Gentlelady from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our colleagues want Americans to believe that this discharge petition and underlying legislation are the be-all and end-all in this investigation. However, it's House Republicans who've worked tirelessly to achieve true justice for victims. To date, the significant information that has come out has come from the Oversight and Government Reform Committee as a result of its issuing 13 subpoenas. We've released 65,000 pages of documents from the Department of Justice, the Epstein estate, which was not mentioned in the underlying legislation, former U.S. attorney, and others. Let me state again, the unanimous consent request to pass the legislation immediately last week was blocked by the minority leader. Full stop. If Democrats truly cared about finding justice immediately for victims, this legislation would have been passed last week. Instead, they want political theater to capitalize on. House Republicans, on the other hand, remain focused on truth, accountability, and delivering real justice for Epstein's victims, not political points. I reserve.
Reserves. Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I inquire as to how much time I have remaining?
Gentleman has 5.5 minutes remaining.
I yield myself 3.5 minutes.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, all that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And we've had a lot of good men doing a lot of nothing on the other side of the aisle until we did something. 3 brave women and myself and the Democrat caucus. We did something. And then what did they do? They've opposed us every step of the way. They've lied about the legislation. Let me tell you some of the lies they've told. They've said that it doesn't protect victims. Well, if that is so, why were dozens of victims with us today at a press conference urging this body to pass this legislation? It's because this legislation specifically protects victims. They've said this legislation does not prevent the release of child pornography. Of course it does. We have a specific provision in our legislation to prevent that. They've said so many falsehoods about this legislation, but now they're going to vote for it, hopefully enthusiastically. But really, they've been drugged to this. Our judicial system is broken. If it were working, there wouldn't be 1,000 victims who haven't seen justice yet. They are victims of the Epstein class. I begrudge nobody success that they become a billionaire. But if you think being a billionaire or buying politicians keeps you out of the judicial system, lets you rape young women, lets you traffic women, you've got another thing coming when this bill passes. Do not let the Senate muck this up. There have already been efforts to derail this, our discharge petition. The Oversight Committee has released thousands, tens of thousands of documents. That's fine. Keep working. How many names have you released? 0. You are still protecting, or the DOJ is protecting, pedophiles and sex traffickers. The time for that to stop is now. Now, our speaker says, oh, this bill needs amended in the Senate, and specifically, he's trying to create a loophole. He's trying to categorize the pedophiles as victims. He's saying, oh, we don't embarrass the people that went to the rape island. We should protect those names against unreliable accusations. Is he calling all of these victims unreliable? They've testified to the FBI. The FBI has these names in their possession. I asked the FBI director in a hearing, have you looked at the documents? No, he trusts everybody that's been there for decades. That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men, in handcuffs being perp-walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up. I urge my Senate colleagues, do not muck up this bill. The president has already said he will sign it. That means he will sign the bill that we have here today. Do not change this bill. He is ready to sign it. Give it to him. Put it on his desk. Let's get justice for these victims. With that, I reserve.
The gentleman from Kentucky reserves. The gentlelady from North Carolina is recognized.
Reserve.
The gentlelady reserves.
Is the gentlelady prepared to close?
Yes, I am, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
I yield the remainder of my time to Ranking Member Mr. McGovern.
The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you. First, let me say how much I admire the courage of my Republican colleagues who are beside me here today. Mr. Speaker, at the end of the day, this is not about us, and it's not about politics. This is about the survivors, young girls who were exploited by powerful men, men who use money and power to take advantage of girls, some as young as 11 years old. The President of the United States calls it all a hoax. Can you imagine that? What an evil and disgusting thing to say. These young girls, now women, the survivors, what happened to them was horrific. They were sexually abused, many of them for years, and the President of the United States calls it all a hoax. What kind of messed up, sick in the head, immoral person says something like that? This bill is about making sure powerful men are held accountable. It's about demanding truth and transparency for the American people. Now, Republican leaders in this House lost control of the story. They lost the ability to hide behind procedure, and they lost the luxury of pretending that they were ever on the right side. The American people see it, survivors see it, and history will see it. And listening to the Speaker of the House's press conference today, I mean, it sounds like he basically wants to kill this whole thing. He's trying to obstruct and derail the process. Why the hell is he fighting so hard to do the opposite of what the survivors want? What an awful, awful thing to do. So let us release the files. Let's give survivors the transparency they've long been denied. Let us take back power from the rich billionaire elites who think they can do whatever they want with no justice or accountability. And let's remember exactly who had to be dragged here under duress and who stood up from day one demanding the truth. And with that, I yield back.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president. The gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, those of us who did not sign the discharge petition are just as concerned about the victims, or if you, as some are calling them, survivors, as our colleagues who signed the discharge petition. We share contempt for anyone who abused anyone else. I've stood on this floor many times, Mr. Speaker, to speak out for victims and survivors of people who have been abused, and against anyone who breaks the law or takes advantage of an innocent person. We will not be characterized as insensitive to that. But what House Republicans, who didn't sign the discharge petition, remain focused on truth, accountability, and delivering real justice for Epstein victims. Again, I'll point out that it was under President Trump's Department of Justice that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and tried. We have not tried to avoid this situation. We want things done the right way. We want maximum justice for these victims and survivors. Our rule today simply expedites consideration of the Massey-Khanna legislation. And as I said, we would have liked to have seen it pass last week when we gave an opportunity for it, but it was blocked by the Democrat minority leader. I ask for support for this rule, the underlying legislation. With that, I urge my colleagues to vote yes on the previous question, yes on the rule, and Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time and move the previous question on the resolution.
The gentlelady yields back the balance of her time. The question is on ordering the previous question on the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Mr. Speaker, request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the chair will postpone further proceedings today on motions to suspend the rules on which a recorded vote or the yeas and nays are ordered, or votes objected to under Clause 6 of Rule 20. The House will resume proceedings on postponed questions at a later time. For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 4405.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 4405, a bill to require the Attorney General to release all documents and records in possession of the Department of Justice relating to Jeffrey Epstein and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan, and the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Ohio.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to insert extraneous material on H.R. 4405.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
We all support holding bad guys accountable, and we're all going to vote for this resolution. But I think a little perspective is important. Democrats have spent 6 months talking about Epstein, even though they had 4 years to do something about it. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Maybe it's to go after President Trump. Never forget, they shut down the government for 43 days. They said, don't worry about our military, don't worry about air traffic controllers, don't worry about our economy, don't worry about American families. No, no, no. Close the government for a month and a half because it might hurt the president. For the past decade, there's been one constant for Democrats. One constant: go after Trump. They spied on his campaign. Then it was Mueller. Then it was impeachment 1. Then it was impeachment 2. Then it was all the lawfare. Alvin Bragg, Fonnie Willis, Letitia James. Then it was Arctic Frost investigation at the Justice Department, surveilling United States senators and congressmen, and a whole host of other Americans. Then it was Jack Smith and his gag orders and his raiding President Trump's home. Then it was a 43-day shutdown, and now it's Epstein. And by the way, the same party that did all that, they were also the ones who were texting with Mr. Epstein during a hearing where Michael Cohen was their witness in another effort to go after the president. Americans see through it all, and frankly, it's actually kind of sad. This obsession, this syndrome, this mindset that says we got to go after President Trump no matter what that they have. And when I think about it, I think it's because President Trump and Republicans have accomplished so much that they told the voters they were going to accomplish in the 2024 election. We're actually doing what we said we were going to do. President Trump said he was going to cut taxes, and he did. President Trump said he would secure the border, and he did. President Trump said he'd get men out of women's sports, and he did. President Trump said he would make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear capability, and he did. And he said he would get the hostages out of Gaza back into Israel, and he did. All in 9 months. So I don't know what causes this mindset, this syndrome that the left has, but I know one thing. It is real. Which brings me to last week. Think about what the Democrats did last week. The Democrats released an email that the Oversight Committee had obtained from the estate, an email from Mr. Epstein to Ms. Maxwell. When the Democrats released it, they redacted the victim's name, something we all support, something everyone supports, except in this case, no court had ordered that name redacted, no agency had redacted it, and the estate didn't redact it. And the victim had already went public. So why black out her name? Why black out her name? Because she had said in her book and had testified under oath that she never saw any wrongdoing by President Trump. So think about what they did. In an email between two criminals, Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, in an email between two criminals, they hide the name of an individual who had went public and exonerated the president, and we know why, to distort and twist the message because they thought it might harm the president. Their position, cover up the names of people who are already public, but don't worry about other innocent people who the court said should remain private. Again, I think the American people see through it. They see through what the Democrats are doing. The American people know what this is. They know Democrats have nothing else to run on because of the success of this administration. So I say let's vote yes on this resolution, and then let's get focused on making sure we're doing what the American families elected us to do. With that, I reserve.
The Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Today, 4 months and 3 days after Mr. Khan and Mr. Massey introduced their discharge petition, perhaps the most famous discharge petition in American history, the People's House unites across party lines to draw a moral line. We draw a line against the rape and sexual violation of children. We draw a line against the global criminal trafficking of girls and young women to service the pleasure of rich and powerful men who believe they are beyond all law and all morality. We draw a line to put the voices of the victims and the survivors first. We ask the Senate to join us without changes rather than obstruct this bill with dilatory amendments, legislative graffiti, and self-dealing million-dollar jackpot provisions for lucky senators. Just pass the bill. We're finally voting today because a bipartisan discharge petition led by Representatives Massey and Khan and signed by 218 of us overthrew the determined obstruction of the Speaker. This forced vote means the House will no longer acquiesce in this astonishing real-time cover-up of a multi-billion-dollar global sex trafficking and child rape ring that has ravaged the lives of more than 1,000 girls and young women. We're here today because these victims, these survivors, these citizens, these inspiring women who have come to Washington are demanding nothing less than justice and the complete truth about who is responsible for their vicious abuse, including those responsible for enabling it, ignoring it, bankrolling it, and covering it up. We join them today in rejecting any more dangerous lies about the crimes they suffered. No, child sex abuse is not a hoax. It's a crime. Human trafficking is not a hoax. It's a crime. These crimes are a curse on children and young people across America, in universities and elementary schools, in churches and mosques and synagogues, in Boy Scout troops and college sports teams and summer camps. Anywhere the powerful and the rich believe they've got the opportunity and the impunity to exploit the young, the poor, the powerless, and the vulnerable. We must face the truth and find the co-conspirators still at large in one of America's most extensive and sophisticated sex trafficking and child abuse rings in history. Release of the file will expose the role of everybody who facilitated and covered up these crimes, like J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of New York Mellon, which executed billions of dollars in transactions related to these offenses, as well as any bank executives who participated in the sexual abuse of girls and young women. We must expose everyone who covered up these crimes, like Alex Acosta, the former U.S. attorney in Miami, Donald Trump's labor secretary, who gave Jeffrey Epstein an unbelievable sweetheart plea deal, immunized unnamed conspirators, and killed an investigation into Epstein's financial crimes that could have brought down the entire criminal network. And with that, I'm going to yield. I'll reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 4 minutes to the distinguished chair of the House Oversight Committee, Mr. Comer, the gentleman from Kentucky.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As chairman of the House Oversight Committee, I've always believed that sunshine is the best disinfectant. For years, the American people have demanded transparency about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's horrific crimes and about the federal government's failure to protect the victims. The House Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough review of the federal government's investigation into Epstein. Our work goes far beyond the legislation before us today. We are committed to accountability, transparency, and justice for the American people and for the survivors of these appalling crimes. To date, the Oversight Committee has released more than 65,000 pages of documents, issued 13 subpoenas, and conducted interviews with 2 key witnesses, both of whom were Republicans. The Trump administration has provided us with Department of Justice materials and access to suspicious activity reports. Unfortunately, throughout this investigation, Democrats have chosen to manufacture yet another anti-Trump hoax instead of pursuing justice. They have mischaracterized witness testimony and selectively released documents complete with targeted redactions in an effort to smear President Trump. For example, former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, who oversaw the 2019 Epstein investigation, stated clearly under oath that the prosecution team found no evidence that President Trump committed wrongdoing. Despite this simple and straightforward fact, Ranking Member Robert Garcia, moments after that deposition, tiptoed out and publicly claimed that, quote, Barr could not clear Trump of wrongdoing. That was a lie, and we have the transcript to prove it. I invite the media to read the transcript. When the Oversight Committee interviewed former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Alex Acosta, Democrats whipped themselves into a frenzy trying to manufacture a gotcha moment, but they failed. Mr. Acosta dismantled the Democrats' narrative. His testimony confirmed there was no contact between President Trump and Mr. Acosta and no connection between President Trump in the Epstein case. Next, Democrats resorted to selective leaks and doctored documents to mislead the American people. Oversight Committee Republicans have posted 65,000 pages of documents we have received to date. Democrats, by contrast, have released fewer than 12. In their latest selective leak, Democrats released just three of the 23,000 pages of documents from the Epstein estate. And they made redactions to 2 of those emails that changed both the context and the meaning of the 3 pages they released. When CNN called them out for their deceptive redactions, Representatives Stansbury and Crockett tried to blame Republicans for their own edits, for the Democrat Oversight Committee edits. After Democrats released only 3 emails, Republicans released over 23,000 pages. And what did Democrats say in response when we released every single document that we got? They claimed full transparency was meant to, quote, disorient or distract from their manufactured narrative. These are the same Democrats who chant, release the files every day until the files contradict the story they want to tell. That is the definition of hypocrisy. In contrast, full transparency exposed how Epstein appears to be TDS patient zero. The emails reveal a journalist coached Epstein to blackmail then presidential candidate Donald Trump.
The gentleman is recognized.
The files also show that a House Democrat colluded with Epstein during the 2019 oversight hearing to discredit witness with a vendetta against President Trump. And unsurprisingly, Democrats have been silent about their colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I should just point out that we've heard now from the two distinguished chairmen of the Judiciary and the Oversight Committee, and they've spoken almost exclusively to denounce Democrats. We have a bipartisan coalition here demanding the truth about the largest child sex abuse and trafficking ring, perhaps in American history, certainly in this century, and they want to just throw stones at the Democrats. What a remarkable failure of leadership we're seeing from the other side. And I imagine that the chairman of the Oversight Committee will follow up his spectacular failure in trying to impeach President Biden with his spectacular failure in trying to block the resolution we brought to the floor today. I'm happy to yield 1 minute. Excuse me, you're not recognized, whoever's speaking. And I'd like to yield 1 minute to the very distinguished minority leader on the House Oversight Committee.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. And Mr. Speaker, it's wonderful to hear Republicans and certainly the chairman of our committee finally wanting transparency on this issue. It is time to end this White House cover-up now. Now, we know that Donald Trump has tried everything to kill our Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and he's failed. And now he's panicking. He's about to lose his Epstein vote to force the Department of Justice to release the files. And let's be crystal clear. Trump has the power to release the files today. He does not even need a vote. And he continues to defy the subpoena of the Oversight Committee to release all the files. What is Donald Trump hiding? What is Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, hiding? Why won't they release the Epstein files right now? And he must explain to the public why he moved sex trafficker and monster Ghislaine Maxwell to a cushy, low-security prison after her interview with Trump's personal lawyer. He should declare, and every Republican should say, that she does not deserve a pardon or a commutation.
The gentleman's time has expired.
30 more seconds. I grant him 20 more seconds.
We don't care how much money you have, what party you're in, how powerful you are. We should get justice for the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. And our work on the committee is not over. Next up are the bank and financial records to follow and expose Epstein's network. Today, there should be a unanimous vote on releasing the files, and we will get justice. And with that, I yield back.
And we reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield a minute and a half to the distinguished gentleman from California and member of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Kiley.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
I have consistently called for the maximum possible level of transparency when it comes to the heinous crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. That's why I've consistently said I am inclined to vote for this bill, and it's why I will be doing so today. The victims deserve the truth. They deserve justice, and they deserve closure. For months, they've had to wake up every day and see the name of their tormentor on the front page of every newspaper, on every TV channel, as has the broader American public. This issue has been so politicized by so many people in so many ways, which is deeply unfortunate when we're talking about matters of the highest sensitivity and untold suffering. It is my hope that the passage of this resolution today